Hi everyone, this is Johnnyonoes and I'm playing Astroneer, and in this Let's Learn episode, I'm going to teach you all the basic gameplay elements you're going to need to know. The first thing we're going to go over is your backpack. Your backpack has some displays for your air supply as well as your energy supply. It has your inventory, as well as a small crafting menu at the bottom. Now, with air and power, if you are not connected to a base and or a vehicle, your air supply is going to go down. If you use your mining tool, your energy is going to go down. And you can see this graphically represented on the back of your character. So the more you use energy, the more it falls down, as well as my air supply slowly dwindling. If you're not tethered, you're not going to be able to get air, so run next to a vehicle and or a base, and if the base or vehicle is generating power, not only will it give you air, but it will also replenish your energy. Alright, so let's look at the inventory. Now, at first glance, it looks like you have about 8 slots for items, but there are 3 additional ones that you may not be aware of. On the top, left, and right, there are these little appendages that you can put resources into. If you die, the resources or items that are in these 2 slots will not go away. Everything else does, though, except for these 2, which means that you want to put some important equipment into those slots. So the equipment that I normally run with is a little mini solar panel, as well as a battery. This is going to allow me to generate additional energy if the sun is up, as well as store additional energy in this extra battery. It adds about 25 to 30% more energy than I normally would have with the basic battery. Now, if you're looking to craft something, the crafting menu also has inventory space. So let's say that my inventory is completely full. Let me get some other stuff here. So my inventory is completely full, but I can still interact with this particular resource that's in the crafting menu. The other great thing is that if you have the proper resource for what you're looking to make, the backpack will move your inventory automatically for you instead of you having to go drag down. It's really nice. So if you want to maximize your inventory capacity, make sure to select something that you have in your inventory. So as you can see, because there's no room, this aluminum fell off. But if you were to say, oh, I want to carry as much compound as I can, just select something that requires compound, let's say like a tether, and then fill yourself up completely with 9 compounds. That is, if you're not using these 2 for equipment. To use the crafting menus, just click on these arrows until you get to the piece of equipment that you wish to make. I'm going to make some tethers here. Once you have both the resource as well as the proper equipment selected, just hit this I button here and it will go ahead and craft it. All pieces of equipment that you make in your inventory are all 1-slotted items, and I'm going to go over slots and posts or whatever you want to call them later in the video. But here we go. We got our tethers in our inventory right now, and we can go ahead and use them. Tethers act as an extension to the normal tether that you get when you're near a vehicle or base. So as soon as I walk away from it, the tether disappears. But if I were to place a tether by hitting T, it will extend this tether out further. So if you're going to go out on an adventure and you don't have a vehicle, or if you're going to go go splunking in some of the caves, you're going to have to bring a set of tethers. Now the cool thing is you can see that you get 1, 2, 3. It looks like 11 tethers per tether equipment that you build, and it's really cool how it graphically shows you how many there are. So if I place another one, you can see that there are this many. And even when you're not zoomed in, you can still kind of see it. So if I place another one, place another, you can see that it's slowly dwindling on your pack. So you can see how many tethers you've got just by looking at your character. It's really nice. To pick up tethers, all you do is shift click and it'll go right back to where it came from. When tethered, you can see what kind of resources that you're getting from the tether. If it's a light blue, it's obviously you're getting oxygen. If you use your mining tool, you start using up some of your energy, and what you're connected to is generating its own energy, you'll see that the line turns blue and yellow. Let's talk briefly about power. Now, there are two different types of items in relations to power. There are items that generate power, and then there are items, namely batteries, that will store power for you. Each one of these items has both a 1 slot, which means in your backpack, and a 2-slotted variant for the bases. So here is what a battery looks like on your backpack, and this is what a battery looks like for your base. So there are 3 different types of items that generate power. There's the solar panels, you have the wind turbines, as well as generators. Now, solar panels, obviously, you need the sun to be visible. It can get obstructed by clouds and or mountains. It's actually really cool where you can actually watch the solar panel, face towards the sun when it appears. Wind, I think they're called wind vanes, is the single-slotted variant of the wind turbine. These feel a little bit bugged. As you can see, I've got one that's going crazy and another one that's not doing anything. These are kind of useful. I tend to put a couple on my base just to add a little bit of power throughout the night, but it's really hard to rely on them. Generators and solar panels are a much more reliable source of power, but I've got them. But I wouldn't have your whole base filled with just these with batteries. Generators are interesting because they're basically power on demand, because of the fact that once it's equipped, you actually have to put in a resource in manually. So this is kind of good when you're in the caves when there's obviously no sun and there's obviously no wind. So if you've got a couple of organic resources in your inventory, you can use it to power up your generator and to generate energy. The 1-slotted variant of the generator uses organic, and the 2-slotted variant uses coal, which can be found on other planets other than the Terran planet. Power flows between all objects that are connected. You can see here that this solar panel is providing this fuel condenser power by, you can see like the yellow lines moving between each of the objects. Vehicles that cannot produce its own power can be linked to a base by clicking in the middle of this highlighted area, and it'll go ahead and pass energy to it. Working with workstations is really easy. Just as we did with the backpack crafting menu, go ahead and select the item that you wish to make using the arrows here. As an example, we're going to go ahead and build a battery. We're going to be putting this battery on a truck that we're going to build later. On the sides here are the resources that it needs to build the item. So to supply the resources, you can open up your backpack and drag the item into the slot. Alternatively, you can actually just click on the highlighted portion and it will automatically pull the resource out of your backpack. Just like with the backpack crafting menu, if the resources are in the unit's inventory, it will pull it automatically to where it needs to go, which is so good for folks that are like me that are super OCD and need to organize all the resources. With this game, all you have to do is make sure it's in the inventory and it will do all the organization for you. It's fantastic. Once you have the resources in the workbench and you've got the item that you want to build, go ahead and click on this I button and it will go ahead and build the item for you. There we go. We have a brand new battery. Keep in mind, anything built at the printer is going to be a double-slotted item, which leads us to our next discussion, which is about slots. There are 2 different types. There's a single slot as well as the double slot. The single slots can be identified by the fact that there is a red ring painted around them. The double slots have this kind of orange or coppery line that goes between the 2 of them. Objects that you build in your inventory are all single slots, and objects that are built in the printer are all 2 slots. Single slotted items can fit into both of them though. Put it into a single slot as well as a double slot. It's not allowing me to put it in that one. But the double slotted items cannot fit on, like, see how there's like 2 single slots right here. It doesn't fit. It has to be one that's specifically designed for it. Double slotted objects cannot go into your inventory, but you can carry it around. So here's the solar panel, pick it up, and you can move while you're holding the solar panel. Can't really sprint, can't move all that quickly with it, but it allows you to move it to places where you want it to go. A special note about workbenches is that the vehicle bay can actually add additional pieces of equipment onto a vehicle. If you have your vehicle away from the vehicle bay, the only things that you'll be able to craft with the vehicle bay are additional vehicle beds. So rover truck, shuttle, and spaceship. If you move a vehicle into the area, you'll get some new selections. It's a terrible parking job. So I can create another 1-seat or 3-seat or storage. I'm going to go ahead and build storage, and just as usual, just click on the I button and it will go ahead and build the item that you wish it to build. There we go. We have our storage on our brand new truck. Driving vehicles in Astroneer is exactly like the controls from Halo when you're driving the Warthog. Basically, you just hold down W to move forward, and wherever your mouse cursor goes, it will try to turn that direction. You can also use A and D to swivel, which is really useful for when you're on super bumpy terrain like this, like this exotic planet. When going reverse in a vehicle, all of the controls are opposite, which is really confusing. Hopefully it'll be fixed at some point in the future. But to go backwards, all you have to do is look backwards and then hit W, as if you want to go in that direction. Turning is not opposite though, for some reason, so you're going to have to get used to it. Going backwards in this game is very difficult, but once you get used to it, it's no problem. If you happen to roll your vehicle, to flip it back over, all you have to do is hit tab as if you're getting into the vehicle. There we go. If you run into a situation where you can't flip the vehicle, like let's say if it just continuously stays on its back, you can easily use the ground and the digging tool to move the vehicle and to tip it over. Just as you can do with bases, you can also tether two vehicles together as well. Click into the center of the highlighted area and the two vehicles will be tethered. This is really great because sometimes you may not have enough room to put any like solar panels and batteries onto a vehicle, and this will allow you to charge a vehicle using a vehicle that may have power generation to it. You jump in the vehicle, you'll be able to haul the other vehicle as well. It's a little bit janky at this point in development, and I would highly suggest you do not bring a tethered vehicle into a cave, but if you want to go do it, go do it. I've seen some folks on Steam post some videos about, you know, being able to haul like 2 or 3. There is a limited amount of torque on each of these trucks, so you're not going to be able to go like 10 connections, though it would be kind of cool to try. The first thing you're going to need to know before using your spaceship or shuttle is that each of these objects have a certain amount of fuel in them. You can go ahead and make hydrazine from the fuel condensers or by finding it on the map and just mining it as you normally would. Once you're ready, go ahead and click on your hydrazine and go ahead and add it right here, and it'll add to the fuel of your spaceship or shuttle. A really great way of having a little bit more fuel is by just attaching some fuel to it, and it'll actually pull from here before pulling from the main tank. Once you're fueled up and ready to go, hop inside your spaceship as you normally would any other vehicle by hitting tab, and then click on this button here to bring you into orbit. Once in orbit, you're going to be able to see these little circles here, which represent landing zones that you can land at. Just go ahead and left click to land in those locations. You can also see where you've put your base, so you have your base waypoint, as well as any of your beacons that you put down, as well as vehicles. That is my lost truck that's in there somewhere. Good to know. To fly to another planet, go ahead and click this button here. You're going to get this view. This white circle represents how far you can travel with your spaceship. Don't be afraid though if you can't fly to a different planet. The planets will orbit around the sun just as any other planet would in real life. The orbital mechanics are also realistic too, in the sense that the closer the planet is to the sun, the faster it will orbit around. So for instance, if I wanted to get to this tundra planet, I could easily just sit on this exotic planet until I get into a close orbit around this planet. To fly to a different planet, all you have to do is left click and it'll show an animation of you flying off to another planet. Go back to our Terran planet here. And then as before, to land at your landing zone, all you have to do is left click. You have to wait for the waypoints to show up. There we go. And down we go. Alright folks, so this is Johnnyonoes, and I've been playing Astroneer. Those are all the basic gameplay tips that I can give. If you have any that you'd like to share with the community, please go ahead and leave your tips in the comment section below, as well as if you have any questions. Alright folks, so this is Johnnyonoes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.